Hey team, welcome to Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. That means we got today's work and then tomorrow a very short assignment, which is me reading for about 10 minutes and then you doing just a little bit of reflection. So 15 to 20 minutes of your time tomorrow will be dedicated to ELA out of 8 hours because it is a school day, people. We don't start the weekend until Thursday. But I won't see you or do anything until next Monday. So I hope everyone has something to look forward to. Okay, so I'm going to dive into it today. Cohort B is going to do some reflection, and we're going to talk about the paper. But I want to remind everyone that if you haven't turned in your Write Like an Author assignment, the formatting is super important. I can't tell you enough. You don't want people looking at your paper and be like, what are they doing? Like, for instance, I just checked the final draft this morning that didn't have an indent. I talked about that. That's really important. So make sure you're turning in a polished, because it's really about your words. And if you don't have something polished, and I'm going to get caught up on how messed up it looks, I want to know only how awesome your words are. Okay, so today, what we need to do is we need to introduce some writers like craft stuff. So we're going to be talking about figurative language. Before we start with figurative language, I think we got to understand what literal language is. So today, here's the thing. I want you to take out your notebooks, your readers' notebooks, and we are going to be doing some notes in the mini lessons section, okay? Right there. You don't have to take a lot of notes, I want you to take a few notes. So just so we know what literal language is, these are words and phrases that mean exactly what they represent, the dictionary definition. So for instance, my wife, and she would be okay with me saying this, is not very graceful. She's not. She kind of stumbles into things a lot. She's built like me. She's a stunningly beautiful woman, but she's not graceful. So she like bumps into things all the time. In our house, we hear like, ow, ow, oh, douche, ow. All right. So like literally, I could say exactly this. She's not very graceful. But that's not that interesting, right? It's more fun, more interesting, and frankly, it doesn't tell the whole story that that a figurative language could do. And figurative language is words and phrases that attempt to create an image in the reader's mind by going beyond the literal or dictionary definition. So this is what I want you to take notes on right here. Write this down. Figurative language is words and phrases that attempt to create an image in the reader's mind by going beyond what the literal or dictionary definition of the words do. My wife is a bull in a china shop. Now that's an image that makes sense. So you could pause the video and write this down. Okay, I'm going to keep going then, because here's the next one. You don't have to write this one down. This is an illustration. But why we have figurative language is sometimes we just need better ways to convey images. That convey word means to like present or explain or communicate. So if I'm trying to tell you something, conveying that information or that idea is really important as a writer or a speaker or a communicator or a human. Here's a good example. If I'm a writer and I'm writing in first person and I say, I was really mad or I was mad. As a reader, I got a really ton of questions after that statement. How mad? What did the mad look like? Is your mad different from my mad? Was it wild and frantic, or was it just boiling under the surface? Right? There's nothing there to work with as a reader. I mean, you want your reader to have questions and images, but not like that. You want it like this. I was a raging, flailing, Tasmanian devil of rage, bouncing off of walls, denting the plaster, swinging my fist like a tornado of fury. No more questions, okay? I got it now. I see it. I hear it. And if I know my Looney Tunes, I can see this Tasmanian devil, right? So that's the thing, is it helps us to make things really, really like clear for a reader. And I get it now. I don't have those same questions. In fact, I'm in my head, I'm like creating a visualization. This doesn't create much. This does. So the basics. Here's what I want you to write down. This is important. Write down these notes. Our sort of foundational things are metaphors. Now, metaphors are comparing two unlike things, not using like or as. It's a direct comparison. So imagine that I'm just saying something is something. That's a metaphor. Similes, they're the easy way into metaphors. These are much more powerful. I would say focus everything on metaphors because those are great. Similes, they're a warm-up to metaphors. They're comparing two unlike things without using like or as, okay? So, or with using like or as, I'm sorry. So what I mean by that is that if I'm using like or as, got a little out of control there, everyone. Whew, Mr. Slavy's getting nuts. So if I got a comparison that's using like or as, it's kind of an indirect comparison. I'm saying this is like this, and it's just not as powerful. So it's there. We use similes. I just don't love them, and they're sort of the easy way out. I want things to be a little bit more complicated. And lastly, we have an analogy, which is an extended metaphor. So it's comparing two unlike things, but I carry it out. I sustain it over multiple sentences. I stick with it. I don't just do it one and done. And you'll see what I mean in a second. Okay, so here's a couple examples. Similes. All right, again, gateway into a metaphor. She is as strong as a 1,000-pound bull. I've got is as strong. So it's indirect. I'm not making a direct comparison. I'm just saying she's like that. The metaphor is to get rid of as strong as and just say is a powerful 1,000-pound bull. Boom, just saying it. Now the analogy, when I take this metaphor, now I'm going to carry it out. So I will say she is a bull. She snorts when she gets mad, stomps her hooves, and must be tamed. There's the second sentences about why she's a bull. The woman is clumsy and always seems too small for any space she finds herself squeezed into. And I'm going to keep going. So I'm comparing this woman, this is my wife, to a bull. And it is carried out for a long time. That's an analogy, a long comparison. All right, one more thing before we go. A long comparison, an extended metaphor, often becomes an illusion. And not illusion, but allusion. So I want you to you don't have to write this one down, although if you want to, it's kind of cool. This usually requires a famous reference. So let me give an example right here, right? This one right here, I was a raging, flailing Tasmanian devil. If you have never watched Bugs Bunny and seen the Tasmanian devil, you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you do, that's what's called an allusion. It means there's a reference that kind of everyone knows. And I don't have to name it. So here's one that I don't have to name, but I bet you're going to get. Here we go. You won't like me when I'm angry. Suddenly shed my shirt, gripping fabric with gnarled, flailing hands. My feet burst out of my shoes, rubber and leather tearing like paper. My arms swell to 5 times their size. A guttural roar bursts from my now table-sized lungs. I have lost the ability to speak. It is only grunts and growls now. When once we looked in the eye, now I tower above you. But you did it with your behavior. You made me mad, and now I only want one thing: to smash. I haven't named it, but I bet you know what I'm talking about. The Hulk. That's an illusion. So I'm taking a metaphor, my anger, I'm comparing it to being the Hulk, and I carry it out into a longer extended metaphor. But you have to know the Hulk to know what I'm referencing, especially that word smash and the ripping of the shirt and growing. That's the Hulk. If you don't know the Hulk, this doesn't really mean as much, but it still describes my anger. So it works both ways. The illusion is just the cool part. All right. So here's what we're going to do today. Here's your assignment. I've written, and I am the author, 3 short tiny little stories. What I want you to do is I want you to upload this into Notability. And what you're going to do is you're going to read this, and you can underline it, you can highlight whatever you want, but I want you to identify down here what each comparison is. So this one's using metaphors, and I've compared P's 2 things throughout. In fact, I've compared P's to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different things. I've compared my fork to something and the speaker themselves to the eye to something. So I want you to identify each of these down here. So you're really just reading and identifying. So this isn't heavy lifting. This is just picking out pieces. So let's do one together. So in Notability, you could highlight it as you want, or you don't have to, but it would be the Mount Everest of peas sits on my plate. I haven't even gotten into the first sentence, and I can tell you right now, my first comparison, peas equals Mount Everest, which means it's a pile, right? I can see it. That's what that metaphor does. You're going to do that throughout. Then you're going to read the second story, do the same thing, except now these are similes. So again, what did the faucet get compared to? The Brown Waters compared to, factories compared to, Specs and Water compared to, bin compared to, weight of choices. So you're going to do some comparison. And lastly is a story that is analogy. It's a longer story, and you're just going to explain what this one long metaphor is. So I just need some explanation. Okay, that's today's work. And you're going to turn that in to Schoology right here as you're going to take a screenshot, or actually, to be honest, it would be upload your PDF from Notability, and you're going to submit that. So you could either take a photo of your pages, it'd be multiple submissions, or you could upload the PDF so I can scroll through it. But this is the assignment right here, okay? So watching this video, what you're doing now, import the assignment. That's going to take about 25 minutes. And then I want some definite reading today. By the way, I've noticed that this number right here in the reader's log, that's not growing. You guys aren't reading and logging your stuff. We got to work on that. Last thing I'm going to say is this. Get your Write Like an Author assignment in. Guys, you have time. You got to be disciplined. You've got to find a way to work through your distractions and your focus to get your work in. Those of you that got it in, awesome. Can't wait. Those of you who haven't, you got to do this. You got to build some discipline and get through this with success. Okay, I hope everyone has a safe, wonderfully warm, and I hope you have some food that you're really looking forward to. I will see you guys tomorrow and Wednesday for a brief 20-minute lesson at most, and I'll see you next Monday. But in the meantime, I hope you're all safe, you have some fun, and the holiday season serves you very well. Take care, everyone.